Okay, so decided to make this video about how to calculate your macros. And the reason I'm making it is because there are lots and lots of people who are talking about macros, they are tracking macros, they are using apps like MyFitnessPal, and they don't quite understand where their macros come from. And also because there are many professionals, nutritionists, personal trainers, people like that who don't actually know how to calculate macros. They are relying on applications to do it for them or websites, and that's the incorrect way to do it because those websites or those applications don't necessarily tell you the method that they have used, and it could be incorrect. So this is how you actually calculate your macros. So moving on, because it's 2015, nearly 2016, the first thing we need to do is to calculate how many calories you need a day. So we need two things. We need your BMR, which we're going to work out. I've already worked mine out. So I'm 1 meter 83, 94 kilos, I'm 27, and I'm male. So my BMR is 2085 calories. So we need to find out how many calories we need each day, and obviously this is basal metabolic rate, which is obviously not indicative of your daily energy expenditure or energy requirements because it's basal. It hasn't taken into account any activity or anything like that. So we use the Harris-Benedict equation, so you can click on this link here, and what we do is we times our BMR by one of the personal activity level indicators in the Harris-Benedict equation. So let's take somebody who doesn't do any exercise. Here, we would times their BMR by 1.2. So this is your average person, doesn't do any exercise. So we're going to times 2085 by 1.2. So 2085 is 2,500 calories for somebody who is 1 meter 83, 94 kilos, 27. That is the amount of calories they need per day, just to tick over, not to gain any weight, not to lose any weight, providing that these estimates here are correct, which obviously they're not going to be spot on, but they're probably as close as we can get without using some very, very expensive energy expenditure methods. So 2,500 calories, that's how many we need. So now we need to make a decision. Do we want to gain weight or do we want to lose weight? So let's say we want to lose weight. So we want to put ourselves in an energy deficit. So decide on your energy deficit. Don't make it too big. Let's go with an energy deficit of 300 calories, okay? So this is our number of calories to be in maintenance. And we will take away 300 calories. 2,000, let's call it 2,200. Let's get rid of the 2. So we've got 2,200 calories and the number of calories we want, okay? So 2,200 calories. Now we need to start figuring out our macros. So we know we want this much per day. Now, the best place to start is with protein. So you decide on how much protein you want per day. I'm not going to go into protein guidelines today. I'm not going to go into optimal amounts of protein. I'm just going to use a figure. So let's use the figure of 1.5 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. Okay, so we know that I weigh 94. So we're going to do 94 times 1.5. Okay, so we'll go back to our calculator. 94 times 1.5 is 141 grams of protein a day. So it's 141 grams of protein per day. So we've sorted out our protein. We know how much protein we want per day. So what we then do is we take the calorie value for 1 gram of protein, which is 4 calories. So 1 gram of protein equals 4 calories. And we figure out the total number of calories that are coming from our protein intake of 141. So we do 141 times 4. 141 times 4 gives us 564 calories from protein. So 564 calories from protein. Okay? Now, we've got 564 calories from protein, so how many do we have left? So, very simple. 2,200 minus 564, 1,636 calories left over. More importantly, 1,636 calories left to be dished out to carbohydrates and fat. So, do your carbohydrates next. Now again, I'm not going to go into optimal amounts of carbohydrates for certain athletes, optimal amounts of carbohydrates for athletic performance in certain sports, etc., etc. I'm just showing you how to actually calculate it. So you have to excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold. So, let's decide that we want 300 grams of carbohydrates a day. 300 grams of carbohydrates per day. Okay? Now, very, very simple. Follow the same process you followed for protein. So, how many calories are in 1 gram of carbohydrate? So, 1 gram of carbohydrate equals 4 calories, same as protein. So, we do 300 times 4 equals 1,200. Okay, so that's 1,200 kilocalories from carbohydrate. So now, what we do is we add 1,200, which is the amount of calories we are getting from carbohydrate, and we take the 564 we're getting from protein, we add those together, so 1,200 plus 564, 1,200 plus 564 equals 1,764. Now we know that our total daily calories is 2,200. So we're going to take away 1,764 from 2,200. So 2,200 minus 1,764 equals 436 calories. So we've got 436 calories left over for fat. Now, all you need now is the amount of calories, or the number of calories in 1 gram of fat. So 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. So what do? We do 436 divided by 9 to find out how many grams of fat we need in a day. So 436 divided by 9 gives us 48 grams of fat. So now we've got 141 grams of protein per day. We've got 300 grams of carbohydrate, and we've got, 48 grams, well, it's 48.4. I've not actually used the actual number with the correct, I've not used the correct value. As you can see, I've cut off the 0.4444 recurring there. 48 grams of fat. And those are your macros for the day. Now, just to double check, you can do 141 grams. So 141 times 4 is 564. So that's correct. 300 times, so plus 300 times 4. That's totally incorrect. Terrible maths. So let's start again. So 141 times 4 gives you 564 calories. 300 times 4, 1,200. 48 times 9, 432. We didn't do the 0.4, so it's 436. And then you would add all those together. So 436 plus 1,200 plus 564 equals 2,200, and those are that's the number of calories you need to lose weight, and within those calories there are your macros, and that is how you calculate macros. It's really that simple. Now, one thing to remember is that you're going to have a different number of calories required, whether it's to lose weight or to gain weight, on the days where you exercise and the days where you don't exercise, or where you do a different type of exercise. So for example, we've calculated this for what is essentially a rest day, so a day with no exercise. If you wanted your macros for a day where you go and do a really, really heavy leg session, your protein will remain the same, more than likely, although you could increase it, but I'm not getting into that in this video. Your values for carbohydrate and fat are going to be larger because your energy requirements are going to be larger because you're exercising on that day. Now, it's also important to differentiate between different exercise types. So if we've calculated these macros, this many calories on a day where you don't do any exercise, and then it will be a different amount, be more calories, more carbohydrate and more fat, probably, maybe more protein for a day where you do a heavy leg session. That will also be different to the days where you do a 3-hour bike ride. So just remember that you wouldn't give somebody 2,200 calories on a day where they're doing a really, really heavy leg session, and then give them 2,200 calories on a day where they don't do anything, and vice versa. So just make sure you take that into account when you calculate your macros, is that there's going to be different energy requirements on different days, and that's important for your macros, and it's important for calculating your calories, and it's just important in general as a nutritionist and as a practitioner to know that. So just remember that. And that's essentially it. That is how to calculate your macros.